Hello, and welcome to Make a Difference, the show where we spotlight change makers and volunteers who are making a difference right here in Montgomery County. I'm your host, Florence Jewell. Your home is more than a roof and four walls. It's safety, dignity, and stability. For 34 years, Rebuilding Together Montgomery County has helped more than 3,000 homeowners stay safe at home thanks to over 50,000 volunteers. On this episode of Make a Difference, we are honored to be joined by Chloe Bernardi, licensed certified social worker and CEO of Rebuilding Together Montgomery County, to explore how volunteers are changing lives and rebuilding community, one repair at a time. Chloe brings deep experience as a licensed clinical social worker and someone who understands both the practical and understands both the emotional importance of having a safe home. As CEO, Chloe is responsible for guiding the strategic direction of Rebuilding Together Montgomery County and ensuring RTMC meets its mission and repairing homes, revitalizing community, and rebuilding lives of Montgomery County most vulnerable residents. Let's get started. Chloe, thank you and welcome to Make a Difference.
Thank you.
Before we start with your mission and vision of RTMC, let's start with you and your background as a licensed clinical social worker and what inspired you personally to lead RTMC.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I have been in the helping profession since 1997 in one capacity or another. Prior to coming to RTMC 2 years ago, I was in child welfare working in the foster care system. I decided that I wanted to make a change and work in a different capacity in the community. And what I love about RTMC is we're doing preventative work. So we are not getting to the point where people are losing their homes, displaced. We're coming in and doing the work to prevent that from happening.
Wow, thank you. Now, you have a portfolio of services. So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing and what your services are.
Absolutely. So we've actually just hit our 35th year. We are a local affiliate of a national organization, Rebuilding Together. There's 106 affiliates throughout the country, but we are solely focused on and in Montgomery County. So in order to qualify for services, you have to own your own home, you have to live in the county, and you have to meet our income eligibility. We are primarily working with homeowners who income level is at least 50% below the area median income. The area median income in Montgomery County is 125,000. Our homeowners are typically trying to live off of about $38,000 a year.
And so how do you go about selecting someone for your program? Just unpack that a little bit more so they know, what is, because again, there's security and trust around you coming in their home and the work.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that because we feel very privileged that people allow us to come into their home. There's a lot of services where you don't know what's happening, behind the front door. And what we often see is that from the outside, it looks like everything's okay. When you actually get inside, you realize that people are living in disrepair and have no resources or access to get the work done in their home. It becomes deferred maintenance, and over years that's compounded and it becomes significant health and safety issues. So we try to advertise, go out to community events, work with our local community partners to make sure that everybody knows about us because we're a completely free service. And a lot of people don't trust that and feel like there has to be strings attached. But once a homeowner fills out an application and we've done our due diligence to make sure they meet the criteria, then what we come in and do is completely free. And on average, we're completing home repair every 3 days, and the average spend is between $10,000 and $12,000 per home.
Wow, that's fantastic. And really, thank you for that service. So let's talk about, the people that's doing the work. I talked about you, and let's talk about your staff and the volunteers. Help us understand who are the who are the volunteers and the skill set that they need so people can allow them in their homes?
Yeah, and to back to the question about building the trust, we work really closely with our homeowners, and we are the liaison between the homeowner and whether it's volunteers or contractors. And I'll talk a little bit about the difference, but we spend, considerable amount of time building that relationship to make sure that that trust is there. We work with a lot of homeowners who have had, negative experiences that don't trust the system. So a big portion of what we do prior to starting the work is making sure that they know who we are. They know, whoever is in charge of that program, they know that person as a human being, but also as an employee of RTMC. Um, so we have various models to complete the home repairs. We work with contractors, general contractors that complete most of our more complicated repairs that require a skilled person to be in the home. They prioritize our homeowners so that the work gets done quickly and efficiently. We're there to monitor the process from beginning to end to make sure everything goes as planned. Where once we determine the scope of work with the homeowner, then they're signing off that they agree, for the work to be completed. We try to check everything off the list that they, need to be done. It doesn't always work out that way because sometimes it's bigger than what we can do, but typically we're able to come in and get all of the repairs done. So our skilled contractors are out on a regular basis, and then we utilize volunteers throughout the year. We on any given year, it's about 450 volunteers. And that is a combination of different events we have. One is She Builds, which is women helping women. We have a community revitalization program, and that's working with nonprofits. So similar to what we do with homeowners, we also work with nonprofits because at the end of the day, they are the, pillar of our community, and our homeowners are relying on us, but other nonprofits, and they don't have the bottom line to do the repairs that they need. We have a big volunteer weekend. It's the last weekend in April every year called National Rebuilding Day. And the last weekend in April, we will have over 400 volunteers throughout the county working on 12 different projects, 12 different sites. And that's a pretty incredible weekend. And then we have other various events throughout the year. Sometimes it's just going out and painting. Recently, we went to a nonprofit and I had my board members come out and do the work, which is just a great give back, and it gives them an opportunity to hands-on see the impact we're making and what we're doing.
Absolutely. You did a lot there, and I want you to help visualize for someone who's listening and watching. Toot your horn. I know you talked about the event coming up. What visualize that for us in words, how that it looks like if you had a homeowner that went through the process, been vetted, you've got the contractor on board, you're ready to go, the scope of work. Toot your horn about what that looks like and what success looks like at the end of that event.
Absolutely. And this really is true to most events, but our this weekend, because it's our biggest weekend, what people probably don't realize is we start planning in October. So there is
Mm-hmm.
a lot of identifying, homeowner that needs the work or a nonprofit. Then we have different volunteer groups that are either churches, synagogues, corporations, companies, and we match their skill set with a homeowner or a nonprofit to make sure that we're not putting them somewhere that needs skilled labor and they're not capable of doing it. So there's a lot of vetting and coordinating prior to the event. We have each group has a house captain, so we meet with them in the beginning of March, lay out, the scope of work, review our safety protocols, expectations, and then they have, that month and a half to prepare and to work with the homeowner. They will go out and meet the homeowner, build the relationship. And then there's a lot of little things that go into the process before we actually get to the weekend. And then the weekend is just all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. We're myself and my COO are just roaming the county, stopping at the different sites, making sure everything goes as planned. Sometimes it requires some work the weekend before or the weekend after if you have a homeowner or a nonprofit that needs more, more than just sort of basic repairs. And it's really amazing what happens when volunteers come together in the community. and build the relationship with the homeowners or the nonprofits, and then when they leave a day later, everything is completely repaired and it just looks a lot different than when you walked in. So it's pretty magical.
Absolutely. I can feel the magic in the air. I mean, when you talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's pivot to, the volunteers, because this is about you and volunteers. Who are some of your partners, like corporation? I know when I worked for a technology company, we would look for group activities and we would do things, this could be a great opportunity for a company who's looking for team building for their organization. How would they get in touch with you and prepare, even though it's March and maybe for the April event?
Yeah. So, well, the April event is just one event for corporations, but we do corporate give back days anytime a company wants to be involved. So there is a financial commitment that they make, and the money that they're um, allocating towards rebuilding together Montgomery County is then used for the project.
Okay.
So so they will come out and do a full day team building project. They have anywhere from, the C-suite to the executive assistants to whoever wants to participate. And it's one of my favorite things about working here because a lot of people think in Montgomery County that everyone is okay, and that is not true. And so the misconception is that they're going to come out. I had one person tell me, I thought we'd be polishing BMWs and, cleaning granite countertops. And when they actually got out, and we're doing pulling up a sidewalk and repaving it for a nonprofit who had residents in wheelchairs and couldn't get in and out of the backyard. They're blown away by like the amount of work that's needed. So it's a great opportunity for team building, but it's also raising awareness about what is happening in our county that most people do not know about.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, you talked about partnering with other nonprofits and, interfaith groups and everything. When you think about where you are and where you want to go, are there other organizations that you're thinking about partnering with that could benefit from what you're doing in the county and around, affordability and housing?
Yeah, so I mean, we work on an advocacy level as well, and so we're, part of different associations that's,
Cool.
doing legislative work and making sure that our county representatives know the need. The one thing about home preservation is that it allows people to age in place in a safe and healthy home. It's generational wealth. A lot of times people have owned the home for generations, and so they don't have a mortgage. And when you don't have a mortgage, you don't have to have homeowner insurance. And when you're making a decision between putting food on the table or homeowner insurance, the homeowner insurance goes by the wayside. So we work with other nonprofits that provide services that we don't, like food insecurity, transportation, and try to link our homeowners if they're, in need with other community partners. And then with our corporate givebacks, most companies have a commitment to social responsibility. And so this allows them, to come out and contribute to Montgomery County being, a
Okay.
great place for everyone to live. The other thing about home preservation is it is less costly and it's better for the environment to preserve a home than to build a new home. So that's why we really focus on let's, keep folks in their homes versus building what is called affordable housing, which really is not affordable for most people.
Okay, we're coming to the end, and this has been a great conversation, especially around the time, like you said, affordability. I couldn't get that out. And what's going on in our county. Is there anything that you would like a message you would like to leave with our listeners and anyone watching this show?
Yeah, absolutely. And I also have to, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention we are a staff of seven. And so we are working, everyone wears different hats, working around the clock to make sure, we can meet the needs of our homeowners. Currently, we have 75 families on our wait list. And my goal is to not have a wait list and then to be able to
Okay.
expand services. But we really are neighbors helping neighbors. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. is helping out your neighbor, talking to people, spreading awareness about who we are, what we do, making sure homeowners know that we exist so they can apply for services, and then supporting our mission and our vision.
Absolutely. And how can they reach you? Can you share that information? I didn't ask in the beginning, but could you share your contact information real quickly for us?
Absolutely. So it's info@rebuildingtogethermc.org, or our website is www.rebuildingtogethermc.org. And we're happy to, provide any information that people need to get involved.
Thank you, Chloe. And I really appreciate you and your organization and what you're doing in the county. That's it for this episode of Make a Difference. We'd like to thank our guest, Chloe Bernardi, CEO or RTMC, who reminds us that RTMC and volunteers are not just repairing homes, they're revitalizing the communities and rebuilding lives. I want to give a special thanks to our County Public Information Office production team who do an excellent job, and for you for watching. I'm your host, Florence Jewell. For more information on volunteering, visit the montgomeryserve.org website or contact the Volunteer Center at 240-777-2600. Remember, change starts with you. Until next time, be inspired, involved, and be sure to make a difference.